Hi Foxes, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Brittany. I am also known as SHOPFOXBURROW on Etsy, Poshmark, and Instagram. And today I have a video for you that is another sort of like educational video, and that is 10 BOLO or be on the lookout pinup brands that you should keep an eye out for. So if you are not already subscribed to my channel and that sounds interesting to you, or you like educational reseller content, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I am so close to 1,000 followers and I am so excited about that. So I hope you will join our little family of foxes here on YouTube and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. I have my little list of 10 pinup brands that I want to talk to you about today. And the first on the list is one of the probably most desirable of these, and that is Trashy Diva. So Trashy Diva does a lot of that very like 1930s, 1940s sort of vacation or like play suit types of pieces. So very form-fitting, but very great prints. They do a lot of like floral prints, and they can be pretty expensive to start. And then some of the pieces are super desirable and out of print, so those pieces can resell for a ton of money. And I will put a couple of examples up here on the screen for you so you can kind of see like what I'm talking about. I know there is an entire Facebook group dedicated to Trashy Diva. There are people who have ISOs, are in search of items, and they are specifically looking for Trashy Diva pieces. So if you can find Trashy Diva, definitely try and look up the print name. It might be a really desirable print, and some of them can retail or resell for over $100. So definitely worth checking out if you happen to find it in the wild. All right, number 2 is actually called Pinup Girl, or you can shorten it to Pug, P-U-G, all caps, and people search both ways, so you want to make sure that you have Pinup Girl and Pug in the title or description of your listing. And there are definitely more desirable pieces from this line too. I'd say the skirts and dresses are going to be the most desirable. They did a collaboration with Mary Blair that is pretty desirable. She was an illustrator for Walt Disney around the era of like Alice in Wonderland. And so there's some great skirts and dresses that came out of that collaboration. And then they do a lot of other different like Harlequin prints or novelty print. Like there's one in particular called the Fetish print, and it is like a red background with little black printed icons on it, like a mask and some high heel boots and stuff like that. And so that sort of thing is going to be a little bit more desirable than like a run-of-the-mill. But you're looking at probably, I'd say, $35 to maybe $125 for resale value, depending on the piece that you find. I do think it's important to point out that Pinup Girl has had some controversy in the past couple of years with just being sort of closed ear to people who might feel like their culture is being appropriated for fashion, and they sort of shut those conversations down. I know there was a Chinese New Year line that had a lot of that sort of controversy about it, and as such, some of the fans of that brand have sort of fallen off. But I wouldn't say it affects the resale value too much. There are definitely still people who are out there looking for these pieces, and if you find it in the wild, I would consider it a good pickup. But I just wanted you to be aware that there is some controversy with some of the pieces, so you may want to do a little bit of research with that before you list something. The third brand is Voodoo Vixen. So this is also a brand that is sold at ModCloth. I could have included it in the ModCloth brands, but I feel like it's more of a pinup line They definitely do a lot of sort of 50s like rockabilly styles, you know, shirt dresses, halter dresses, fit and flares, but then they also do a lot of like curve hugging bombshell sort of stuff. And I would call this a sort of mid-range brand. They retail anywhere between like $45 for a piece to like $125 for a piece. So the resale value is not gonna be like in the $150 range because the retail value wasn't that high. But they do definitely have some pieces that retailed for a little bit higher, like prom dresses, stuff like that. And because they've been around for quite a while, and they have a lot of stuff sort of in their catalog, you're gonna have a pretty good chance at finding some of these pieces in the wild, but I would be careful. You know, some of the older stuff might not be as desirable as some of the newer stuff. So just sort of use your judgment when you're going and looking for those pieces. And yes, Voodoo Vixen is the name of the brand, and it's definitely, you know, if you can find it for, my general rule is $8 or less, then it's almost a definite pickup. You could pay more for it depending on whether or not it's a newer piece or not. But you'd have to do a little bit of research to find out sort of what like era your Voodoo Vixen pieces from. Okay, the next brand is definitely on the higher side of retail value. So that is Vixen by Micheline Pitt. And this brand, I want to say it's a little bit newer. It's definitely got a following now, so I would check out their website. They have like a great lookbook. You can follow certain tags on Instagram if you are interested, but they just have a lot of really great prints. So we're talking about like spiderweb prints, reproduction prints. They did a really fabulous sort of like little Shop of Horrors fly trap print around like Halloween that is, you know, super desirable. I think they retailed around the $175 range. So the resale value on those is going to be pretty good. But in general, I would recommend picking up these pieces, especially if you can find a dress, pants, or a skirt. Those are usually in the pinup community going to be a little bit more desirable than, say, like a blouse or a top. Not to say that people aren't looking for those things, but on the scale of like how much the resale value is going to be, because tops tend to be more affordable in general, people often purchase them from the original designer, and they're not always going to be as coveted as some of the more expensive and elaborate things that maybe someone couldn't afford when it was released, but now they've come into a little bit of expendable cash and they're looking for those prints because they're not available on the original site anymore. The next brand is sort of like a ModCloth type of brand, which is to say that they have their own house line, but they carry a lot of other brands as well on their website, and that is Unique Vintage. So Unique Vintage, they have a lot of really fun collections, I should say. Like, they did some great Halloween collections, they have some great summer collections. Their swimwear is usually pretty desirable, and they work with other designers in the community like Micheline Pitt for exclusive lines, so they do have some exclusive collaborations. And generally, Unique Vintage is gonna resell for a pretty decent amount of money. We're talking anywhere from like $25 up to, I would say, $100, $125, something like that, depending on what piece you find and whether or not it was a collaboration. But definitely worth looking up the piece if you do come across it in the wild. And if you are not able to, you know, access the internet and you find Unique Vintage and it seems like something that is kind of quirky and fun and not so much your basic, I would just go ahead and pick it up. I think it's going to do well for you. There are definitely people that follow Unique Vintage that love the brand, and there are pieces that you just can't get on the website anymore. The collections come and they go, so it's definitely worth it to just snatch it up if you are not able to like check comps. All right, I think we're on to number 6. So the 6th brand that I'm going to talk about today is Stop Staring. And just like the name kind of indicates, it is definitely more of like a bombshell brand. So we're talking a lot of like really form-fitting, like wiggle dress styles from, I would say, like the 50s, maybe a little bit with the 40s, but primarily like 50s rockabilly style. They do have fit and flare dresses, but again, they're very like curve hugging. They're cut, you know, kind of on the deeper side, some off the shoulder stuff. And those dresses, usually you're going to be able to turn them for, I would say, between like 40 to 65-ish. They do tend to be a little bit more, I don't want to say basic, but they are solid colors. So these are really great dresses for like events. People in the pinup community, you know, maybe they have a cocktail party or a military ball or just some sort of like event that they need to go to. They might be looking to like look really sexy, and Stop Staring is one of those brands that they're going to be searching out. So I do definitely think that they have a following, and I do recommend picking them up if you can get them for a good price. I think that even paying up to $10, $12 for a Stop Staring dress, you're pretty safe in that range. And yeah, so just another great rockabilly like pinup brand to be on the lookout for. All right, number 7 is a brand called Miss MISS Candy Floss. And Miss Candy Floss does a lot of like 1940s and onward, but primarily 1940s and 1950s styles. They are sort of in that like higher to mid-range price point, but the thing that is really BOLO for this brand is their trousers. So they do a really great wide leg 30s style trouser, and it's going to be like a high waist. They also have suspender trousers, and those are definitely desirable. Jumpsuits are really desirable. The dresses, yes, those are desirable also, but the pants are really what they're known for, those wide leg trousers. So if you happen to come across a pair of those, feel comfortable paying up for those. They are definitely something that people are searching out. And because it's a trouser, if it's just like a plain color, navy, black, those are going to be great too, because that is something that people are going to be able to mix into their closet and wear on sort of a more like everyday basis. They're going to be able to wear it to work. They're going to be able to wear it to the office. So I really think that, you know, Miss Candy Floss, if you are able to find their trousers, that is a definite BOLO. If you're able to find their dresses, I would certainly pick those up too. But yes, the trousers are ultimate. They are beautiful and nicely made, so definitely worth picking up. The next brand is sort of that like mid-range level price point for retail, and that is Heart of Haute, Haute. And this is actually a US based brand. They do, I think, all of their manufacturing here in the United States. They try to digitally print their fabrics to reduce waste and just be generally more environmentally conscious, but they still have a very affordable price point for people who, you know, don't have like that crazy sort of budget and aren't going to blow $200 on a dress. So these dresses retail for somewhere around like $120, and they definitely do a lot of very pretty florals. They do some novelty prints. They do some stuff that is good career wear, and They have, you know, a full range of items. I think that their florals and novelty prints are gonna be the most desirable out of, you know, their selection. And I'm gonna say for comps, you're looking at somewhere between like $40 to $65 for resale value on a dress. So, you know, use that sort of range when you're trying to decide how much to pay for something. But Heart of Hot, definitely love, you know, where they're going, their mission that they use. The next brand I am going to tell you about is sort of an OG or like original like reproduction pinup brand, and that is Bernie Dexter. So Bernie Dexter is popular in like the rockabilly like pinup community. This is a little hard for me to explain. So they don't put out a ton of new styles, and the styles that they have had in the past they are still producing. So it is nice in that you're offering some, if you can find it and resell it, you're offering something that is still available on their site at a lower price. So that is definitely desirable, but they sort of lose that like ISO print sort of extra money that you can get for a piece because it's no longer in production. So they do a lot of border prints, a lot of very full skirts, and you know, these are they run very small, these dresses, especially depending on like what style you get. The measurements can be very small, so do make sure to include measurements in your listing when you're selling Bernie Dexter dresses. They are 100% cotton, but they are not lined, so they retail for around the $150 range, and I would say for resale, people like to pay in the like $60 to $70 range for these dresses. And I wouldn't say that you could get too much more than that for resale of these pieces, so definitely keep that in mind when you're deciding how much to pay up. Okay, and the last brand I'm going to talk about today, number 10, is Tatiana, and that is sort of in the same line as Trashy Diva. It's sort of got that like rayon tropical vibe. It's like a cross between Stop Staring and Trashy Diva. Very, you know, fitted stuff, 2 pieces, play suits, and those are going to be more of like that mid-range price point. They also do a lot of very like classic 50s styles, but in more solid colors. So, you know, like a black fit and flare 50s dress, and those are definitely going to be something that people look for like if they have an event. So Tatiana kind of gets that like play suit vibe, like you're going on a cruise, you're going on vacation, and then they also kind of get that like formal audience too, so you kind of get 2 like specialty audiences, and not as much with like the day-to-day wear, though they do sell like blouses and things that can kind of fit really easily into a wardrobe. People are going to be looking for like those more specialty pieces when it comes to this brand, and I would say depending on the piece you're looking at somewhere between like $50 to $70 for a resale value of one of these like dresses, or if you had a complete play suit, something like that. So yeah, that is 10 sort of BOLO, be on the lookout pinup brands. If you come across these, it is worth it to look up some of the prints. Some of them go for a lot more. You might be able to pay up for some of the pieces. But yeah, in general, my rule is anything in this list, if you can get a piece for like $8 or less, that is a definite pickup. If you can get like dresses or skirts in the $10 to $12 range, I feel really comfortable telling you to do that. But again, there are going to be some older pieces and then some more desirable new pieces, and you may be able to pay up a lot more and get a really nice return on your investment. So let me know if this was helpful for you. If you have any other pinup brands that you love, you can leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you enjoy picking up, what you enjoy wearing, And yeah, so I hope that you will subscribe to my channel if you didn't already do so at the beginning of this video. And give me a thumbs up for this video if you like the content. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you next week. Bye!